Here we go. I was all dressed up for a client, and I thought, why not? Like, really, why not? Do a little live while I'm here and dressed up, which I just mentioned twice now. Anyway, you would have seen posts or me talking about the concept of suspended presence, which is a tool. It really does take a masterful presenter. I was about to say by myself, but I wouldn't do that. I'm far too humble for that. A masterful presenter or someone who has a wonderful presence on stage or an ability in the craft to suspend their audience in their presence. So, suspending presence was created back in June in a place called Idaho Falls. And a friend of mine hopped on a piano. Well, we weren't on it, clearly. She was playing it. And I was asking her to suspend the chord. So I knew that there was a final chord to be played. And I was asking, how long can you hold me in that space between these chords and the final chord? My brain knowing that there was a piece to come, right? That's quite vital information there. The more that she was comfortable in that space, the more that she was able to hold that and make me feel safe, the more that that space grew potent, became intimate, became feeling. We had our own personal experience within that space. Now, the thing to remember here is that nothing was happening. No one had to do anything. This is the cool part, right? No one had to do anything. So when she finally resolved the chord, it was when intuitively she felt like she was ready to complete that. I was captivated and held in her presence that whole time with no need to hear the final chord. I was having my own personal experience. Now that wouldn't happen, of course, if she wasn't comfortable and completely present herself. Evasive energy is hard to connect to. So, when I talk about suspending presence, instead of suspending chords or suspending presence, the ability for a speaker to not complete their sentence and leave the audience hanging on the remainder of a sentence or even just a final word. The audience is suspended in the presence of the speaker, but the speaker must be incredibly present first and comfortable with taking ownership of the space and between those words and not surrendering it back to the audience if that space, if the silence becomes overwhelming, which, as you can understand, it can. Resolving the sentence is when the speaker intuitively decides that it's time to complete the sentence. The part that most speakers are going to struggle with, and this is why I do say it takes a masterful or someone who is it takes confidence to be able to hold that space and not surrender it. And when I say confidence, confidence is a byproduct of craft. Confidence is a byproduct of knowing what you're doing. I can't teach confidence, but I can give you world-class tools that make you better, a world-class speaker, a better speaker, that will give you confidence because you know you are good, because you know you are becoming good or great, even world-class. The beautiful part about suspended presence is that space, that silence that happens in there. If you're not present, that silence can become deafening. the noise that comes through you in your head of the I need to speak, everyone's looking at me. So this is what I talk about when I'm saying you need to occupy the space and never surrender it over until you are ready. You obviously can't do or you overuse this tool when speaking. Or can you? I'm asking myself sincerely that question. The space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. You've heard me say that many times. It is, I never thought that after 28 years of being around in the space of this industry that I would be talking about effectively teaching speakers not to speak. But the trouble with speakers is they talk too much. Often the words that we use are diluting our message because they have been influenced by our lack of our confidence, our ability to take ownership of the space, by either the external pressure of an audience watching you or even as a camera in this case, can force you or influence you or get you to a place of panic where you keep filling the silence with words which just simply dilute your message. I love the idea of suspended presence. I love this as a tool. I do think it's a tool that needs to be practiced and appreciated, and I absolutely think that you can suspend an audience if you are incredibly present and your intention is clear. Your intention has to not just be simply, I'm just not going to talk, but is to take ownership of that space. And can you not complete the sentence and suspend presence with your audience? And can you go to the back of stage and have a sip of water and come back and finish? Absolutely you can. I know you can. I'm seeing clients that I teach do this, but it takes time. And as I said, and I'm going to reiterate here, that means I'm going to say it more than once, is anyway, I'm amusing myself, it appears, tonight. It takes time to have the confidence and to even understand what suspending presence actually means. I'm going to leave on this piece. The baseline for this to actually work is authenticity. And anyone who knows me and what I'm most obsessed about is authenticity when it comes to presenting. Authenticity creates the connection. The connection has to be made before any of the rest can come into play. Authenticity creates the connection, but the craft enables us to lead the invisible dance. I'm going to say that one more time because it is pretty good, isn't it? Authenticity creates the connection. Our baseline has to be authenticity. That deep connection, that deep sense of trust, that sense that the audience feels safe. They can see you, they can feel you, they trust you. They feel safe in that silence. So authenticity is the baseline to create the connection, but it is the ability of the speaker in their craft and their ability, their level of craft to lead the invisible dance. And that, my friends, is me done.